I never like to record end of the year videos because that just means it's not too much longer before the Cobra's up for the winter months, and I won't really be doing a whole lot with it, although I think I may be doing a few things with this one in the off season, but it depends on how cold it gets in the garage and how ambitious I actually get to do things that I'm thinking about possibly doing. But I'm actually recording this quite a while before it's actually done for the year. I'll probably add to this video before I publish it, but I'm recording this towards the middle of September right now. But what I wanted to do was give a recap of pretty much everything with the car since I got it to basically my first year of driving it around, and all the good and all the bad things that came with all of that. Now, I did have a few issues with the car when I first got it back home. It was a while before I could actually drive it because I took delivery in January, so it was a few months later before I could actually take it out and start doing stuff with it. But I quickly realized after that I had a warped wheel on the car. What I thought was just a condition of it losing wheel weights from when I went to look at it in Virginia for why I had a shimmy turned out to be much more complicated than that, than just putting wheel weights back on. So I had to get this Celine wheel pulled off and I had it repaired just because these wheels are not very common and I wanted to save them, and I really wasn't looking at buying another set of wheels at that point. So I decided to go ahead and get that wheel repaired, and since then it's been absolutely great. There hasn't been any issues with it at all. Now, after the wheel problem I had with the car with the bent Celine wheel, I discovered later on that the tires that were on the car, between the front and the back, were 11 and 12 years old. And when I got on the car a little bit hard, it would wheel hop extremely bad because the tires were so hard that when you put any power down, it just would not grab the pavement, it would just bounce off it. And this car does have an FTBR bushing kit in it, and I just thought it was really odd that I was getting that bad of wheel hop with the bushing kit. Well, turned out that the wheels were extremely old and all the oils had dried out of them, and they were like basically like rocks. So that required getting a new set of wheels for the car, or a new set of tires. And luckily I had a set of front tires that I put on the car that I was going to use for another project Mustang that never happened. And I bought a set of Nitto drag radials off a friend who was selling them. I got those pretty cheap, so I've been running those for the summer until I burn those up, and then I'll figure out what I'm going to put on after that. This is just a quick video edit. I realized that when I was recording this video, there's a few things I forgot to mention. This is actually part of another video that guys have already probably seen before this one actually comes out. But one of the other issues I had with the car when I first got it, I didn't realize this until later on, but the boost lines were not hooked up correctly. There was two of them that were messed up. There's a T-fitting inside the engine bay. It was a wrong hard line connected to that T-fitting. And the other thing that was wrong is the T-fitting behind the glove box, the line that goes from that T-fitting all the way to the back of the factory gauge. That wasn't even connected, so I didn't even have I just had a huge vacuum leak basically due to that line not being connected to anything on the back of the instrument cluster. So that's plugged now, and I had the lines figured out for what needed to be plugged in where. Now it reads the proper amount of vacuum and the proper amount of boost, where before it was only reading 10 for vacuum and 10 for boost when I took it out because I was bleeding off both of them due to those vacuum and boost leaks that I had going on. Now on to some better news with the car. Not long after that, myself and a few friends did the Whipple install on the Cobra. It does have a Whipple 2.3. Some people asked why did I do a 2.3 over 2.9, and I didn't want a 2.9. I love the street ability and how well it hits down low with a 2.3. not saying the 2.9 is not streetable and that it doesn't hit hard down low either, but I just wanted a more associated street-friendly blower where the 2.9, the 3.0 is kind of geared more towards if you want real bigger horsepower numbers or if you drag race it a lot, which I really don't do with this. But I just really wanted a 2.3. I had the 2.65 VMP Gen 3R on my other Terminator, and I just really wanted to try Whipple. And you know, I'm not brand loyal to either blower. They have their good and bad points, as I've explained in another video. But I just, you know, wanted to try Whipple and see how I liked it, and I have no really big complaints with it at this point. I like it quite a bit. And not long after the Whipple went on, I did have a dyno tune. For those of you that don't know, it put down 658 and 640, I think it was, torque. I'll throw the dyno graph up on the video to see. Issues with that was I ran out of fuel pump. I was told when I bought the car from, not the guy I bought it from, but from someone who owned the car before him, that it had upgraded fuel pumps in it, and it did not. So it's been an ongoing, lingering thing all summer long, trying to get these fuel pumps done. The reason why I didn't do it myself is because it requires a custom wire harness to wire into the fuel pressure driver module, and I didn't really feel comfortable doing that. I was getting conflicting information from what I found online for which wires it really should be used to do that. So I made the decision to take it to someone that does this stuff more often, and all summer long I've been trying to get it down to Cobra Dan down in Massachusetts. He's been booked up quite a bit, and at the point where he was able to get some free time, I had a lot of personal family issues going on at the time where I couldn't commit the time to take the car down to Massachusetts. But everything is back to more of a routine for me, my regular type routine now. And I did hear back from Cobra Dan. I reached out to him a little while ago, and I'm not sure when this video is going to come out, so this either has already happened or it's going to happen soon. But right around the middle of October, around October 19th, the Cobra is going down there. I'm having the fuel pumps put in, the 4 hat, having a few other things done while it's right there, just because it's there, it'd be easier to do it then instead of the way I procrastinated to post stuff all summer long on doing stuff to it other than the Whipple 2.3. So hopefully not long after this video drops, I will have an update on some dyno numbers. I do want to take it back to the dyno. It doesn't need to be retuned, but I just want to see what it does with the proper fueling on the dyno. How much more power can it really make with this setup, with a 6-pound lower, long tubes, exhaust, and also when it does go to Cobra Dan, the boreless stingers that I've had for a while now are going to be going on. I didn't run them before because I didn't want to run boreless stingers with no cats, and while it's at Cobra Dan's, I'm having him weld a set of cats in. So that will pretty much be the setup of the car once it comes back from him. As far as other changes with the car, stuff that's not power related, I did add a 2-pod pillar. I have an Aeroforce gauge and an Autometer Phantom boost gauge, but that's all changing. I was able to get my hands on an SOS gauge pod, so that's going in. It probably by the time you guys watch this, I'll already have it in. Also, to go along with it, I finally found a Lunar Series Autometer boost gauge, which I really like those gauges, so that will be replacing this setup, and I will be running the SOS pod and the Lunar boost gauge. Also, I have a fuel gauge as well that I never had put in, and I bought that a long time ago with the other Terminator, so I'll probably get the fuel gauge all set up. So the setup for the SOS pod will be the Lunar boost gauge and the Lunar fuel gauge, so they'll kind of match well together, and I'll run the Aeroforce gauge probably down here on the column, or I'll figure out another gauge setup to go with that. Things that I bought recently that are not in the car yet because they haven't shipped yet. I did buy some carbon-driven carbon fiber door pulls, and I've wanted some carbon fiber stuff for a long time. I know carbon-driven makes good quality stuff, but they had been out of stock forever. I thought they had gone out of business, as I'm sure a lot of people did, but recently they've had more stock coming back, so I was able to grab a set of door pulls, so those will be going on before too long, you know, once they are shipped to me. And I'm thinking of adding more carbon fiber stuff to the car. It all depends on when stock becomes available, and that's pretty much the biggest hang up with that. I also want to add the shifter bezel and the trim around the vents and all that stuff. And to go along with that, I found a real good, looks to be a pretty good company that does custom stitching for the boot for the shifter and the boot for the e-brake. And I was going to get it done in blue stitching because my e-brake boot is ripped, it's kind of beat up. So I want to replace that. I was going to get that boot with the blue stitching, and if I'm going to do that, I might as well do the shifter boot as well. It's in fine condition, but it would be a nice match between the two. As far as the first summer with the car, I don't really have a lot of complaints. Everything went pretty well. I mean, I'm not going to have it up for the winter until probably close to November, and we're sitting here in mid-September right now. And you know, I modded the car the way that I wanted to. It already had so much done to it, which was nice when I first bought it. But I added my own touches to it, added a blower that I really wanted to it. Knock on wood, I haven't had any serious problems with the car. It's run extremely well. It runs hard. It's a healthy motor from what I put down for power on the dyno. It drives really well. And I've just been, overall it's been a really, really good street-driven Cobra, and I really couldn't have asked for anything more. I didn't buy the lowest mileage Cobra I could find. I'm not one of these guys that hangs my hat on, look at how low the mileage is on my car, and never drive it because it just sits in the garage all the time. I like to enjoy the car, and that's what I bought it for. That's why I didn't buy an ultra-low mileage one, because just didn't fit the criteria for what I wanted to do with the car. As far as what I said earlier about not changing the wheels on the car at the time, I really, really like these Celine wheels, but I did find another set of wheels that I like a lot. I have not bought them, but I'm like 95-ish% sure that I'm going to at this point. It's just something that's going to have to wait a little while longer before I get them, you know, so I can just bang out some overtime at work and pay for it that way, which is pretty much the plan.
Please forgive me, Mr. Oinkbaum, you will be missed. There we are. Go the hell with this. Ah! 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 So we had to do it the hard way, $6.
And something I'll probably buy over the winter. I'm not going to say what the wheels are yet, just in case I don't get them. But if everything goes well, I should hopefully get them over the winter months. So that will pretty much conclude how the first year has gone with the Cobra. If I have some updated dyno numbers, if I release this video later on, then I'll plug that here in the video. If not, then you would have seen those numbers earlier on. But like I said, I couldn't be more happy with how everything has gone, and I'm really glad I got this car. It's been good to me, and it's run really well, and I hope it continues that way for a long time. So let me know, how has the summer gone with whatever car you have, whether it's another Terminator Cobra like this one, if it's something different, some other project car you're working on, any plans you have to do with it. You know, I've told you guys a little bit of the things that I'm doing with this, as far as stuff that hasn't gone on the car yet, or potential wheels and stuff like that, but let me know what's going on. on with you and your plans with your vehicles that you have. I always like to hear feedback from everyone else for what they have going on or things that they may want to change and stuff like that. If you did make it to the end of the video, make sure to drop it a like. The sub button is down below. This helps the channel and helps to push it in the algorithm, which for some reason really doesn't like automotive content on YouTube. They kind of, I don't know, it's really weird. Some months I do well, other months I don't. I can't give you a good answer on why. Well, that's it everyone. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see everyone later. And above all else, thanks for watching.